Good evening, everyone. Let me start with one truth. You are your biggest investment. In a world that's constantly trying to define who you should be, your greatest power lies in defining yourself. Personality isn't something you're born with and then stuck with. It's a living, breathing part of you. And you can choose to shape it every single day. Owning your story is one of the most powerful things you can do for your personal growth and the development of your personality. It means stepping into who you truly are, your experiences, your identity, your background, your pain, your victories, and embracing them without shame, fear, or apology. Most people spend their lives trying to edit themselves into a version they think the world will accept. But the real magic begins the moment you stop trying to fit into someone else's mold and start becoming the author of your own narrative. Your story is not just the happy parts or the polished moments that look good on social media. It's also the messy, uncomfortable, complicated pieces that shaped your values, your instincts, and your perspective. So many people hide their vulnerabilities because they think it makes them weak. But the truth is, vulnerability is the birthplace of authenticity. And authenticity is the core of a strong personality. You don't develop confidence by pretending you've never failed. You develop it by surviving failure, by learning from it, by carrying those lessons forward and wearing them like a badge of honor. There is incredible power in not flinching when you look at your past. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you've been told you're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not talented enough. But guess what? You're still here. You're still standing. That alone is proof that your story matters. The obstacles you've overcome are not liabilities. They're assets. They give you depth. They give you resilience. They give you perspective that no book or lecture can teach. People connect with realness. They gravitate toward those who are not afraid to show the full spectrum of who they are. When you own your story, you make space for others to do the same. It's important to stop waiting for permission to be yourself. You don't need validation from others to decide that your journey is worth something. The way you speak, the culture you come from, the values you were raised with, these aren't things to be erased or watered down. They're your roots. And the deeper your roots go, the stronger your foundation becomes. You can stand tall, not despite where you come from, but because of it. Too often, people try to change their personality to be more acceptable, more digestible, more normal. But being unforgettable doesn't come from fitting in. It comes from standing out, and that starts by standing in your truth. We live in a world that celebrates polished surfaces and perfection, but real connection happens in the cracks. The most charismatic people aren't the ones with the best looks or the biggest accomplishments. They're the ones who are deeply comfortable in their own skin. They speak with conviction because they are not hiding. They listen deeply because they've had to fight to be heard. They lead with empathy because they've known what it feels like to be dismissed or misunderstood. All of that starts with self-awareness, and self-awareness starts with owning your story. That means taking a good, hard look at yourself without judgment. It means recognizing your patterns, your triggers, your strengths, and your blind spots. It means asking yourself hard questions and being okay with the answers. You can't improve your personality if you're not even honest about who you are today. Personal growth isn't about pretending you have it all together. It's about being brave enough to admit where you don't and choosing to work on it anyway. Another piece of owning your story is learning to speak about your experiences without shrinking. Whether it's in a room full of strangers, a job interview, or even a conversation with a friend, don't minimize your journey. Don't brush off your accomplishments or belittle your pain. Use your voice. Tell your truth. You never know who needs to hear it. People often think their story isn't big enough to matter, or that their struggles are too ordinary. But there's power in the ordinary. There's power in your specific truth. And when you honor that, you build a personality rooted in confidence and integrity. You also stop being easily shaken by other people's opinions. When you know your story, when you've made peace with it, no one else can use it against you. The criticism doesn't sting as much. The rejection doesn't break you. Why? Because you've already done the internal work. You've already validated yourself. That self-assurance radiates, and people can feel it before you even open your mouth. It changes the way you walk into rooms, the way you express yourself, and the way others respond to you. Owning your story also teaches you to stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You start realizing that no one has your exact experience, your exact voice, or your exact perspective. And that makes you irreplaceable. Instead of trying to compete or copy, you start creating and contributing in your own unique way. You stop measuring yourself against someone else's timeline. You trust your own process. You start embracing your pace, your path, and your progress, no matter how different it looks. It's not always easy. There will be days when you doubt your worth, days when you wish your story looked more glamorous or less complicated. But those are the moments that test your commitment to yourself. That's when it matters most to hold your head high. And remember, everything you've lived through has brought you here. And here is exactly where your power begins. It's a daily practice. You don't just wake up one day and suddenly feel proud of every chapter in your book, but you can wake up every day and choose to honor it one sentence at a time. You can remind yourself that growth isn't linear and healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means integrating your past into your present in a way that strengthens you. You get to write new chapters with intention. You get to show up more fully, more freely, and more fiercely. Confidence is not a trait you're born with or without. It's not some magical gift handed to a lucky few. Confidence is a daily practice, a choice you make in the way you show up, speak, walk, think, and believe in yourself. It is not reserved for the loudest person in the room or the one with the most experience. It's something you cultivate every single day by the way you treat yourself and the way you talk to yourself. It begins in the smallest of moments, waking up and choosing to show up even when you don't feel like it, speaking up when your voice trembles, making a decision when you're scared of the outcome. These are the seeds of confidence. Every time you do something difficult, every time you step out of your comfort zone, you send a message to yourself that says, I can handle this. That message, repeated often enough, becomes belief, and belief becomes presence. That's where real confidence starts, not from applause or approval, but from showing up for yourself consistently. People often mistake confidence for arrogance, but they are nothing alike. Arrogance is loud and hollow. It demands attention to cover insecurity. Confidence is quiet, it's steady. It doesn't need to shout because it knows its worth. That kind of self-assurance doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from accepting that you're not, and still choosing to show up fully. Confidence grows when you stop trying to be someone else and start standing firmly in who you are. It's important to realize that confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about doing things even when you're afraid. It's about taking the risk, saying yes to the opportunity, even when you're not sure you're ready. It's knowing that you might fall and choosing to leap anyway. That bravery builds self-trust. And the more you trust yourself, the more confident you become. Not because you're guaranteed to succeed, but because you know you'll survive and grow from whatever happens. The way you speak to yourself matters more than you think. That voice in your head, it's either building you up or tearing you down. Start noticing how often you criticize yourself, how quickly you doubt yourself. Then start rewriting those thoughts. When you mess up, instead of saying, I'm such a failure, say, I'm learning, and I'll do better next time. It might feel awkward at first, but over time, your inner voice becomes your greatest ally. And when your self-talk is strong, your outer confidence follows. Confidence also comes from keeping promises to yourself. When you say you're going to do something, whether it's going to the gym, finishing a project, or setting a boundary, and you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. If you constantly break commitments to yourself, you start to doubt your own reliability. But when you follow through, even on the small things, that consistency compounds into strength. Surrounding yourself with the right people also plays a role. Being around those who uplift you, challenge you, and respect you helps reinforce your sense of self. But don't rely on them for validation. External validation can boost your mood, but it should never be the source of your worth. Confidence built on compliments is fragile. Real confidence comes from knowing who you are even when no one's clapping. When you can walk into a room, be yourself, and not feel the need to shrink or perform, that's powerful. Taking care of your body and mind plays into this too. Confidence is physical as well as mental. The way you carry yourself, your posture, your eye contact, your tone can shift your inner state. Standing tall, breathing deeply, looking people in the eye, these aren't just signs of confidence, they help create it. When your body language aligns with your mindset, you become more grounded and present. And presence is magnetic. You also have to get comfortable with rejection and failure. Confidence doesn't mean you never fail. It means you don't let failure define you. When you try something and it doesn't go your way, take the lesson and move forward. Every successful person you admire has faced rejection, has made mistakes, has felt insecure. The difference is they didn't stop. They didn't let it become their identity. They used it as fuel. You can too. Confidence grows in the ashes of trial and error. The more times you fall and get back up, the more resilient you become. Being prepared helps. Walking into situations, knowing you've done the work builds assurance. Whether it's a presentation, a performance, or a tough conversation, preparation breeds confidence. But don't confuse preparation with perfection. You don't need to have everything figured out to believe in yourself. You just need to trust that you're capable of figuring things out as you go. That mindset, that I've got this attitude, is the essence of daily confidence. It's okay to fake it at first. Sometimes you have to act confident before you feel it. That doesn't mean being fake. It means stepping into the version of yourself you're becoming. Dress like you respect yourself. Speak like your opinion matters. Move through the world like your presence has value. Because it does. And when you behave like someone who's confident, you start to believe it. That belief rewires your mind, and suddenly, the confidence you once faked becomes real. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight to become confident. You just need to start showing up a little braver each day. Say yes when you usually say no. Speak up when you'd normally stay silent. Push yourself gently but consistently. Confidence isn't built in giant leaps, it's built in small, repeated acts of courage. It's not about never feeling doubt. It's about not letting doubt control you. Being kind is often misunderstood as being soft, passive, or agreeable. But true kindness is not about shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. It's not about staying silent to avoid conflict, or nodding along to things that go against your values just to be liked. Being kind is powerful, but it should never come at the expense of your voice, your identity, or your self-respect. The key is to lead with empathy without erasing your strength. A strong personality doesn't bulldoze others, but it doesn't disappear into the background either. You can be kind and still hold your ground. There's a difference between kindness and people-pleasing. Kindness is a choice that comes from strength and self-awareness. People-pleasing is a habit rooted in fear and insecurity. It's driven by the need for approval and the fear of rejection. When you constantly say yes to things you don't believe in, or when you allow others to walk over your boundaries, you're not being kind, you're being compliant. And that compliance chips away at your confidence, at your clarity, at your power. Being kind means showing up with compassion, but also with clarity. It means knowing when to say no and having the courage to say it without guilt. You can disagree with someone and still respect them. You can hold a boundary without raising your voice. You can walk away from toxicity without making a scene. That's the kind of quiet strength that builds presence. It's not about being confrontational or aggressive. It's about being rooted in who you are. When you stop shrinking to make others feel more comfortable, you create space for real, honest relationships built on mutual respect instead of fear or dependence. Too often people confuse assertiveness with arrogance and kindness with weakness. But being assertive simply means knowing what you stand for and being willing to express it. It means using your voice even when it shakes. It means trusting your instincts and refusing to abandon them for the sake of peace. Kindness without boundaries leads to resentment. You start to feel invisible, used, or unappreciated, not because others are inherently selfish, but because you never taught them how to treat you. You train people by what you allow, by what you accept, and by how you treat yourself. If you never speak up, they'll assume you're okay with everything. And over time, that silence eats away at your sense of self. Being kind doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It doesn't mean accepting less than you deserve. You can be graceful and still demand fairness. You can be generous and still expect accountability. It's entirely possible to be soft and fierce at the same time. The most magnetic personalities are those who know how to balance both. They don't lose themselves in the name of harmony. They don't abandon their values to fit in. They lead with kindness, but they never let it become a leash. Your energy is a limited resource. If you spend it constantly trying to manage everyone else's emotions or needs, you'll end up drained, disconnected, and resentful. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's essential. It allows you to show up more fully, more genuinely, and more sustainably. Being kind to others doesn't work if you're being cruel to yourself. If your inner voice is filled with shame, blame, or self-doubt, that will leak into everything you do. No matter how polite you seem on the outside, real kindness starts with how you treat yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't uplift others if you're constantly diminishing your own light. When you stop shrinking, you begin to stand in your truth. That doesn't mean you become hard or closed off. It means you stop apologizing for your presence. You stop second guessing your worth. You stop diluting your brilliance just because someone else might feel threatened by it. Your personality begins to evolve into something unshakable, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're finally honoring who you are. And that kind of authenticity is powerful. It draws the right people to you, the ones who see you, respect you, and support you. Sometimes we shrink without realizing it. We laugh at jokes that offend us. We stay quiet when we should speak up. We avoid being too much, too loud, too passionate, too real. But in doing so, we lose pieces of ourselves. We become a watered-down version of who we're meant to be. Reclaiming your space means giving yourself permission to be whole, to be kind and bold, to be loving and unapologetic, to be empathetic and unyielding in your truth. There will always be people who mistake your kindness for weakness. Let them. Your job is not to convince others of your strength. It's to know it, live it, and embody it. And when you do, you'll find that the most powerful form of kindness is not the one that seeks approval, but the one that stands tall and says, I see you, I honor you, and I honor myself too. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You don't need to be agreeable all the time. What you need is to be real. And being real means taking up space, not by force but by presence. It means walking into a room and not folding in on yourself. It means contributing your thoughts, your ideas, your voice, even if they go against the grain. It means not letting fear dictate your volume. When you stop shrinking, your personality begins to reflect your full capacity, not the version that plays small, but the version that knows exactly what she brings to the table and isn't afraid to take a seat at it. Kindness is not weakness. It's a strength that requires confidence, self-awareness, and courage, but it only thrives when it's balanced with self-respect. When you value yourself, your kindness becomes a gift, not a burden. It becomes a choice, not an obligation. It becomes empowering, not draining. And in that space, your personality becomes not just likable, but impactful. Being your own standard means refusing to measure your worth by someone else's expectations, timelines, or definitions of success. It means looking inward for validation rather than constantly seeking approval from the outside world. Too often, people spend their entire lives chasing a version of success that doesn't belong to them, trying to live up to ideas that were handed down to them by society, culture, family, or even social media. But when you constantly look outward, you lose sight of your own voice. You start living reactively instead of intentionally. You stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, what do people expect from me? That disconnect keeps you from growing into your full potential. Setting your own standard isn't about rebellion for the sake of it. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what matters to you and choosing to live by that, even when it's not the popular choice. When you define your own version of growth, success, beauty, intelligence, and confidence, you stop comparing yourself to people who are on a completely different path. You start moving with purpose instead of pressure. You begin to make choices that are aligned with your truth. And that alignment shapes a personality that is not just strong, but unshakable. The danger of constantly chasing someone else's standard is that it never ends. There will always be someone smarter, prettier, richer, louder, or more accomplished. If you keep comparing, you'll always find a way to feel behind. You'll constantly feel like you're not enough. But when you become your own benchmark, your focus shifts from being better than others to being better than who you were yesterday. That's real growth. That's real development. That's how you build a personality that's grounded in self-worth and not external noise. It's tempting to believe that validation from others will finally make you feel whole. But no amount of likes, applause, promotions, or praise will mean anything if you don't believe in yourself first. You set the tone for how others treat you by how you treat yourself. If you talk down to yourself, you give others permission to do the same. If you constantly seek permission to be who you are, people will start handing you their version of you. And over time, you lose touch with the original version, the one that was powerful, vibrant, creative, bold. That's why it's so important to be your own standard. It's not about being indifferent to feedback. It's about knowing how to filter it. Not every opinion deserves access to your mind. Not every trend deserves space in your life. When you know who you are, you become less reactive. You're no longer thrown off by other people's judgments because your sense of worth isn't hanging on their words. You stop seeking consensus and start standing in conviction. That inner clarity allows you to move through life with more grace and strength. You start saying no to things that drain you and yes to things that light you up. not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're finally listening to your own voice. Being your own standard also means setting boundaries that honor your values. It means protecting your time, energy, and peace like they're sacred, because they are. When you're constantly trying to meet everyone else's expectations, you stretch yourself thin. You say yes to things that don't serve you. You accept treatment that doesn't align with your worth. But when you set your own standard, you create a filter for what you allow into your life. You become more intentional with your choices, your relationships, your commitments. And that intentionality reflects in your personality. It makes you magnetic. Because people can sense when someone truly knows and respects themselves. You don't need to have everything figured out to set your own standard. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the right questions. What do I value? What makes me feel alive? What kind of person do I want to become? What does success look like for me on my terms? These questions become your compass. They guide your decisions, your habits, your actions. And over time, they create a foundation of self-awareness that makes your personality not just likable, but deeply rooted. There's a unique kind of peace that comes from living in alignment with your own standard. It doesn't mean life becomes easy or perfect. It means you're no longer fighting an internal war between who you are and who you think you should be. That inner alignment gives you a quiet confidence. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to chase anything. You just show up fully and authentically. And that authenticity becomes your power. You're not here to live someone else's story. You're here to write your own. That means being okay with being different. It means letting go of the need to be universally accepted. It means embracing your quirks, your edges, your individuality, not just tolerating them, but celebrating them. Because what makes you different is what makes you unforgettable. When you stop chasing sameness, your personality begins to shine in ways you never expected. Some days, being your own standard will feel lonely. Not everyone will understand your choices, your pace, your vision. But that's okay. You're not building a life for everyone else to approve of. You're building one that feels honest to you. And that kind of honesty, when lived consistently, becomes the bedrock of a strong, evolving personality. Growth is not a race. Evolution is not linear. You don't need to rush your process or compare your journey to someone else's. Being your own standard means trusting your pace, honoring your path, and knowing that you are enough even while you are becoming more. It means showing up every day with intention, integrity, and a deep commitment to your own values.